Hope everyone's had a good week. I've been pretty absent from social media and Patreon and Discord. Make sure you join the Discord, especially if you're a Patreon. It's like there's really good stuff happening. People, a lot of the same people who send in tracks, maybe half the people who send in tracks regularly are like active on there, giving each other feedback on their tracks, and it's really good. I've been learning stuff from the Discord community, which is awesome. Someone posted a really, really interesting video the other day about setting up your monitors in a small room. Really, really good. But anyway, yeah, I've been a bit absent from everything social media and stuff. I got the flu last week and then got better just before the weekend, and then developed a sinus infection, which was fucking crazy. Like this whole week I've been like, I felt like my head was going to explode. It was really, really full on. So sorry if I haven't responded to your messages or emails or anything like that. I'm gonna get around to it. It's been like insane. Anyway, you can probably kind of hear my voice is a bit screwed up, but anyway, enough of that. One awesome thing that happened from the last stream is I think at least a couple of people got their tracks signed. So like anyone who like watches the streams regularly and doesn't send things in, like there's genuine benefits to it. Like people are watching the streams and signing stuff from the streams. So like that's so awesome. Anyway, let's get on with it. We've got a bunch of tracks. As usual, there were a few people who sent stuff in and didn't have their downloads enabled, or like had links that were dead or whatever. These things happen. This time there was like a couple of people who regularly send stuff in who didn't do it, so didn't do it properly. So unfortunately, if you're not here, you're not in. If we get to the end and we've still got time, then we'll try and fit in a few more if there's things sent through, as always. Anyway, let's jump in. Brink, more. You can hear this? Yo, that is some serious heat. Um, I kind of just got into the track and wasn't really listening to it critically, but I mean, yeah, it's just really really good. The only thing that I could really pick at, I think it's like it's put together well. It's like it sounds refined. It sounds modern but timeless. Like it sounds like it could have been made in the early to mid 2000s, but modern also fits with modern production. So yeah, like really good. My only like criticism is maybe the vocal sounds a little bit sample packish. It's like I think if you could, the vibe of the vocal works really well. It just sounds a little bit like, yeah, a little bit kind of splicey. I don't know if that's a I don't know if that's a word, but splicey. So I would say to like level this up, find an original vocal, get someone to do something like really sick on it, and it's awesome. There was a little bit at the you probably saw me like react to the drop before it happened. This kind of little build and drop felt a wee bit like unnatural to me. Like it just, obviously I predicted that it was going to happen before it happened. Maybe that's just me being an idiot, but
I need it.
yeah, maybe just me being an idiot. But anyway, yeah, I don't know. The vocal thing's tough because it's like it's a really good vocal. It just sounds a little bit radio-ish. I think is my point. Like I think if it had like on a scale of like I don't know, of like radio pop to like underground techno, if it was just swayed a little bit more towards the underground kind of sound. Maybe that's just my preference as well. I don't know. Really cool stuff anyway. It's been like the last 4 streams or something. The first tracks have just been absolute bangers. Yeah. Congratulations, man. That's really sick. Okay, Unknown Vibes. I'm expecting big things, Marcel. Marcel's one of my mentoring students, and he's been like absolutely leveling up. To be fair, some of his stuff that he sent in early on was pretty average. But he's only been producing for about a year or something, and he's like super dedicated. I'm really proud of like the progress that he's made. Like his stuff's gone from sounding like extremely amateur to really leveling up and sounding pretty good. So fingers crossed, let's go. Really good, man. Well done. Yeah, sounding a lot more refined and kind of like a really concise idea. A couple of things that could be improved. I think there's still like, so you've found some vocals from a sample pack or something and chosen a few that you think work. I would say there's still too many. I think it's better to try and find something that's a little bit memorable and use it a couple of times with maybe a couple of alternatives, and then like having 10 different short vocal samples play throughout. I know finding vocals is difficult. It's like, I mean, it's tough. It's hard for me. It's hard for everyone. Even working with vocalists is not easy. It can be really, really difficult. But yeah, but I think just trying to refine that and trying to keep it to like a smaller number of vocal samples is just going to make it more memorable. Like if I needed to try and remember one of these vocal samples, I probably couldn't recall it, so but if it's the same thing repeating a few times, then it becomes more memorable. Also, you bring in this kind of riff here. It's quite low in the mix. I want it to open up and kind of become a bit more present, and then by here be like kind of driving the track so that the energy in the track kind of levels up. The other thing I heard is like you've got a few like white noise sweeps and stuff that sound a little bit just kind of drag and dropped from a sample pack, which is, that's probably what they are, but I think just lowering them in volume and maybe like layering a couple, doing a little bit of automation on them, maybe putting 2 white noise things and panning them a little bit, putting a bit of reverb onto both of them to kind of sit them into the same space, adding a little bit of filter automation or something like that, maybe a bit of sidechain, just kind of trying to fit them into the track rather than just drop them in and let them play. But in general, like really good and really massive progress, dude. Congrats. All right, let's jump on. Also, not too much crazy reverb on the drums, which is very nice. I would probably try dropping in here with that open hi-hat, because it felt, for the amount of tension that you created, the drop felt a bit underwhelming. Let's see, I don't have it warped. 124. Hope that's the. It doesn't look like it is. Ableton have really fucked up this warping stuff. Oh, okay. I can see something that's going on here. So it looks like this is your kick and this is your bass, which is pretty full on in my opinion. Yeah, right. So the bass kind of sounds cool, but it's like really, really, really loud, which is just gonna, I don't know, I think it's too loud in my opinion. But anyway, let's try this with the drop. Where's the open hi-hat come? Like here. As opposed to this. Yeah, I think definitely you need a bit more energy there because you build up so much anticipation for this drop, and it's not delivering at the moment. So totally different style, but I think we can all agree that the first track was pretty well mixed. So if we look at the waveform from that, you can see like it's got a bit of clipping on it, it's got a bit of compression, but like here are the kick drums, right? And here's the bass. The bass is pretty loud, but it still sounds balanced, right? If I look at the waveform on your track, like that's your clap, really loud, that's your kick. That's your bass. I don't know, man. I think just when you play it in a club against another track, it's just not going to sound right. Whatever. At the end of the day, if it's an artistic choice, you go with it. But I think it's worth probably like bouncing it out and trying to play it, trying to mix it with another track or something like that. You could even bring these rides in here. I don't know. So I think in general it's like a cool concept. The vocal samples are nice. I feel like this bass that you've got sounds a bit outdated. It sounds kind of like mid 2000s, kind of like when, or maybe early to mid 2000s, when there was like this big electro house kind of craze. There was a lot of bass sounds like this. I don't know, maybe things are cycling back around to that. I don't know. It just sounds a bit outdated to me, the bass sound. But yeah, I think there's something cool about it. There's something memorable about it with the vocal and stuff. I think it could just be a bit more refined, and definitely the mix could be done a bit more conventional. feel like your snare is a bit harsh, and maybe lacking a little bit of body, like. It seems like if I look at the waveform, it seems likely that you've cut it with a EQ, like this. So with a breakbeat, you kind of want to have a bit more body in the snare, and you can definitely do that because you don't have a kick drum playing at the same time, so you can have it kind of louder, but also you want to have a bit of low end in there, so it's kind of like just got some meat on the bone, if you know what I'm saying. And I think it's a bit harsh, like it's got maybe a bit too much mid-range frequency. And with the, like, whatever, it's just a snare, but with this kind of track, it's got so much emphasis on the snare drum that you really want to nail it, I think. So when I just EQ out a little bit of that, around, what's that, 4K? It feels, to me anyway, a bit more like it sits in the track nicer. So I'd put some more body in, take some highs out. It's probably going to sound a bit more balanced. You could also look at having, like, just probably changing the snare out is going to sound good, or layering it with something. You could also look at having something a bit longer. I would say that sounds a bit too forward. It's like really loud in the mix, especially for the kind of way it's for the type of sound it is. Again, that also sounds like you've given it like a really sharp cut. It feels like it's like the sound itself is missing a bit of body. So I would like try EQing it with a slope more like this and bring it down a few dB in the mix and see if it sits better. I know you want it to be in your face, but, well, like, yeah, I guess, but it just sounds a bit over the top to me at the moment. Like, let me try it with an EQ. So that to me sounds a little bit more balanced. Nice, Reese. Love that. You know what? I think, I mean, again, this is just my taste, but I think this sound that you've used here could be cooler if it was like a bit more of a classic, like an acid kind of sound, like a 303 or a SH101 or something like that. A bit lower, a bit more subtle. I think it's just going to fit more with the style of the sounds, other sounds that you're using. For me, this whole section is a bit too complicated. Like, there's a lot going on there. It's getting all washy and stuff. Cool. But then you kind of bring some of that away and bring back in the bass. Then you start it with all these kick fills. Another fake drop. Then the breakbeat fills. Another fake drop, then the synth fill. I reckon you could kind of come in here, have this, have it kind of build up, maybe have the synth fill just at the end, and drop it back to a bit more clean, because you've got this washy kind of loads of breakbeat stuff happening in the background. And then if you drop it back a bit more clean, it's going to have a bigger contrast and impact. Again, it could just be my taste, but I feel like all of this stuff just makes it a bit convoluted. Maybe in like a live setting, it would like whip the crowd into a frenzy, but I don't know. Cool sounding tune, not really my speciality, but that's my 2 cents on it. Sounds good. Albuquerque and Denox, Empire of Light, Master Juno. Nice percussion. I like this, but it's sounding like there's quite a few elements in the same area competing for my attention. Like in this, yeah, kind of like mid-range section. Like you've got like the piano, this arp, this other kind of chord stab synth. that riff is nice. There's space for that. I think yeah, basically like in here there's too much. It's sounding a bit unbalanced and a bit chaotic because there's too many things fighting for the same space. It sounds more open here. Cool. Okay. I really like that. I think, yeah, I think there's. It feels to me like there's a couple of different ideas that need to be given. Something needs to be given preference, but yeah. In terms of the vibe, really cool. The beat sounds really nice. I mean, I kind of like the intro and outro sections. Yeah, I think there's a really good basis for the track. There's just there's a few different things fighting for my attention throughout it. Right. I've actually got an EP coming out on Stereo Productions, Chus and Sabalos' label, together with Albuquerque. So look out for that.
This is a fucking banger.
It's a bold statement right from the start.
Banger. This is a fucking banger. This is a fucking banger. Fucking banger.
This isolated fucking seems a bit unnecessary. Just came out of nowhere, so I don't know. I would take that. I would take that out. Sorry.
Fucking banger. This is a fucking banger.
Yeah, I would just take those vocal bits out there.
This is a fucking banger. Fucking banger. This is a fucking banger. Fucking. This is a fucking banger. This is a fucking banger. Banger.
Okay, so I mean, this is a fucking radio mix, isn't it? It's not got really an intro outro, but that's cool. I mean, this kind of thing is for SoundCloud or sorry, not SoundCloud, Spotify or TikTok or whatever is really good because it grabs people's attention straight away. But I wouldn't, I mean, I wouldn't, yeah, I wouldn't play a track with this arrangement in my DJ sets. Someone, Oyala, commented that they'd feel the track a lot more with a different vocal. I mean, I think the vocal, it's very attention grabbing, let's say. I think the whole track's really well made. It's not, I mean, well, it is kind of refined because you don't have too much going on. The idea is refined, but it's not refined in a way like it's not made using restraint. The vocal repeats constantly. It's very in your face, and there's not really a lot of tension in release because it's so kind of relentless, which works with this kind of time, or this time like arrangement. But I think to extend this out to, I guess you're probably only going to have a maybe 30-second intro and outro to this, so yeah, maybe 4 minutes. Maybe it would work. Yeah, so I tend to agree with the comments about the vocal not being to my taste, but it works, and it definitely makes it a memorable track. I had some comments about it kind of being used unnecessarily there. I think it feels a bit clunky, and for me as a native English speaker, it feels a bit unnecessary to just have random curse words with delay thrown in there. What I would recommend in this part is kind of maybe using that vocal a bit less and doing something to create a bit more tension so that when it plays here before the drop, it's got a bit more impact. Like, yeah, using it in a more dynamic way. So you're taking it away so that you can bring it back and it can have its effect of shock value or whatever again. Yeah, I don't know. It's cool. Good stuff. It's really well made. Marlin Lena, Fate and Fiction. Right, this kick drum is really, really, really low. I think it's the kick drum. Yeah, so like, a lot of people actually roll off the sub from their kick from like 40-50 hertz, right? So if I do that, it's going to cut off the fundamental of your kick drum. But then again, if if someone's listening to this on basically anything other than like studio monitors or a sound system or headphones, they're not going to get that kick drum anyway. They're going to... So, because the kick drum's so low, it doesn't have like this kind of knocky punch that kind of... So like a kick drum should kind of hit your stomach, but also hit your chest. Like hitting the stomach is like from the sub, and then hitting your chest is kind of from, I don't know, somewhere around this kind of low mids kind of section. So anyway, basically I would just recommend replacing the kick drum with something that had a fundamental frequency somewhere around like, I don't know, between like 40 and 60 hertz. Yeah, I think it's just going to serve you well. And also if you don't believe me, go and reference a bunch of your favorite tracks, and the kick drums will generally be sitting in that range. You've also got this really low tom bass, which sounds cool, but again with the kick, they're both very, very subby and playing in a very similar frequency range, so it kind of muddles together a little bit. Become a bit more prominent. I think it's sticking out of the track a bit too much. There's definitely space for the vocal from the other elements, so I don't think you need to have it too loud. It's feeling a bit unbalanced. There's also a few other elements that are quite loud, like the clap or snare is a bit too loud. It's just, yeah, it's worth referencing against other tracks that you like, and just trying to kind of A/B how loud the different elements in their tracks are, and just really striving for, it's not about adding compressors or adding any effects or anything like that. It's literally just balancing the volume. So now that sound there is really starting to compete with the vocal and wash out the vocal. Partially to do with the volume, but also to do with how distorted it is and how the like frequency rate part of the frequency spectrum that it sits in, it's just really competing. So if you want to have a section with that, I would suggest having a section without the vocal. That would be another overall piece of advice, is the track feels very linear. It does kind of build up and add elements, but even here in the break, there's no real dynamic parts where there's a big shift in energy or a big change in what you've got going on. Like I just use the EQ again, and then let's just say it's playing along here. Just taking away high frequency elements, or low frequency elements more frequently, but also actually just removing some of those from the arrangement at different stages could really could really work well. I don't know, I think for me anyway, I don't feel like this sound for this like lead fits so well into the track. I think it would be worth just like, so I do this all the time when I'm writing, and if I've got an idea that I think is cool but I'm not quite sure if it's working, I'll just like duplicate the track, mute it, and then just scroll through some presets or just try different ideas. But I've kind of saved that initial idea, so I can always go back to it. I'm not losing anything. But I think it's just worth trying alternatives to get an idea of if something else will work. Try sounds in different octaves and that kind of thing as well. But I feel like there's quite a lot of elements going on in the track, and this is such a big element that it just fights for space in the track. Like the track is quite detailed and delicate in a way, and then this element just feels a bit out of place. All right, but yeah, cool vibe. I really like the vibe. Maybe it's also like it could also have a little bit more drive and energy with some kind of open hi-hat, or just like a shaker, open kind of shaker, something kind of a bit like long and washy, a very light EQ'd out like ride, like taking out a bunch of the low mids of the ride, like something like that, a bit more balanced. Something like that, just with not much attack, but it's just going to give it a bit more drive. That could help to pick up the energy in some sections. Yeah, no, it's like, I think it's a kick and a tom playing. So the bass line's made with it sounds like it's made with like a 909 or 808 tom. So I think and because they're both so low and subby, they're both sounding like kicks. I think this bright sound could be utilized a bit later in the track. It sounds it sounds pretty harsh with the volume that you've got it at and the kind of level of where the track is at, the amount of energy and drive that's going on in the track. It sounds a bit more natural here, where you kind of come in, you've got a few more mid-range elements going on. I think in general just a bit too loud in the track. I think you want things like that to be bold, but there's a fine line between them being bold and being kind of piercing and over the top. Right. So I really like the vibe. Nice kind of deep progressive house type of thing. Like I said, those um, lead sounds are a bit over the top in terms of volume. They sound cool, they fit in the track, but I think you just bring them right back. For the style of track, it seems very short without much of a breakdown. This style of track generally has like really long breakdowns, which I find really annoying, because I like to play this kind of stuff sometimes in my sets, but I'll generally have to like set up cue points on Rekordbox so I can jump through like most of the breakdown, because who needs a 2 or 3 minute breakdown every second track? So but anyway, I think for this style of music I would recommend making a extended mix or a DJ mix, a DJ arrangement, excuse me, because yeah, by doing that you're going to see whether the track has enough to be fleshed out. At the moment it kind of sounds like a demo or a sketch. It's also like there's not much, it's pretty linear, there's not much change, so I think you could also try to find some different sections to switch things up, like having some more dynamic change in the track I think will really help to give it life and make it more interesting. It's like, yeah, just dynamics and the energy, dynamics in the sound is like a really big important thing in arrangement. You can do that by just creating some different, take your kind of loop that you've got here or something, duplicate it, and then make changes. So you've got a couple of different sections, and then do that again. So you've got like a few different combinations of your main loop, and then you can kind of go between them, and it will just sound a lot more interesting, dynamic, and keep people engaged for longer. sure what it's from, but you've got a crazy amount of like kind of washed over sub frequencies, like uncut sub frequencies. Like, just look at these meters here. Oops. Oh, maybe I was looking at the wrong track. Wrong track. Okay, we're going to get to that interesting one. Sorry about that. It didn't sound like it, but I thought I was seeing it. Anyway, sorry. I mean, honestly, there's not really that much I can say about this. It's really good. Really, really well done. It's not, I mean, it's not my style. It's not to my taste, but it's really, really well done. You've kind of kept the idea concise, but things are happening and changing up to keep it evolving and interesting. Great mix, great production. I think the only thing I could really say, and I don't know if it would actually add much value, but there's not really many details, kind of like ear candy type things. I don't know if it needs it, but that's pretty much my only feedback. I didn't feel like that was missing, and I don't know if it would add value, but it didn't feel like there was too many exciting bits. But maybe that's not the intention of the track. I don't know. Production, mixing, refinement of the idea, all completely on point. fuck. Thanks for that. Sorry. Anyway, okay. So really cool. That one is to my taste for sure. I think that. So what was I saying? I think it's really well done. I think at the start here, it's kind of the atmosphere is a little bit over the top. It gets a bit out of control. Okay, I think my mic's back on now, right? You can hear me now, right? So I think the atmosphere is a bit over the top, like, and it makes it feel kind of muddy because a lot of the highs are taken out, but it does give space for the hats, which is cool. Anyway, once you get into the groove here, I think you pull away the atmosphere a bit more. Sounds more refined there, I think. But it's kind of missing a hook until this awesome hook comes in the break. So I think that's great. But I did hear something that I don't know how to where you would get this from, but you bring in this pad, this vocal kind of choir type pad. So if that was like some kind of like choir sample with like a melody or some kind of like ethnic chanting, or so like just the sound of that sample or synth or something, it sounds like maybe something from Omnisphere. It fits really well in the track, but I think you could kind of switch it out for something that's a lot more interesting and got a lot more character, and that would really like elevate the track to the next level. Yeah, some kind of chanting sample. You want to be a bit careful not to like offend anyone religiously, or I don't know, but I think that could like really add like a whole nother dimension to the track, something like that. So you've got like two hooks, so that would make sense where this kind of like restrained section is coming in here, then you just let this like really interesting catchy hook through, then the breakdown, then this new hook, then you maybe come in here with another like driving section before bringing in this ethnic chanting hook that I'm suggesting here, and then outro. That's my suggestion. I think it's really well done. Amazing how well you've like leveled up your production, dude. It's all sounding really good. So good stuff. Sorry about my voice. Been sick, so not much I can do about it. And sorry about the mic. I muted it so you can't hear me coughing and shit. So anyway, let's go.
gonna be alright. Breathe in, breathe out, things will be just fine. You know we're living life, you're always on my mind. Yeah, so breathe in, breathe out, it's gonna be alright. By your side, do you fly?
Right. So, I really like some of the elements of this and the vibe of it. It's got like this really cool summery vibe. It reminds me actually of some from New Zealand, and there's a few bands from New Zealand like Fat Freddy's Drop and the Black Seeds that have a really kind of similar vibe to this. It just feels a bit schizophrenic. I don't know. Like I made a comment about Houston's track that it felt like there was like a hook missing or something. This felt like there was too many hooks. So I think you've got like a couple of elements that give it like a real vibe. But I think, you know, especially this intro section, it was like there's one thing going on, now there's another thing, now there's another thing. It just didn't really, like, you probably saw it on my face, like I was just like, what are we doing now? Okay. And then, I mean, like, look, if I just jump through this. You've got about 4 tracks in one, mate. So I think it's fine. It's good to make ideas, and like when I'm writing stuff, I'm always adding more than I need. But then there's got to be a process of refining it and taking away the stuff that, like trimming the fat, take away the stuff that isn't adding value. And it sounds to me like a vocal track. So the vocal is king, and you want other elements to support that, because you've got all these kind of like jazzy melodies going on that are just like competing with the vocal melodies. You know, it's not like reinforcing the theme or like backing up the vocal, you know. So I would go back to the drawing board, but keep the vibe and just work to kind of make that hook front and center, build the track around it. So I think you're in a good place, because it can be quite easy to make a track that is lacking that personality. You've got the personality, so go with it. All right, so we're going to have to speed things up a little bit so we can get through all the tracks. So I'm going to start skipping through a bit more.
I'll try to live.
Nice wee flip of a very, very used sample.
I'll try to live.
Thanks, Ian. Okay, so you've got like these, like, I think you've got a bit too much going on in the melodies. They're becoming very intense, but then especially here when you bring this vocal in, it's just like drowned out. It sounds, I mean, you can barely hear it. You can't make out what's happening, so the human ear is always going to try to listen to vocals. So that you can use that to your, what's the word I'm looking for? You can use that to your advantage in an arrangement where you have something come in and it's filtered out and you can't make it out, but then it comes up and becomes more audible, and then that creates tension and release, and it's very satisfying for the listener. This is very unsatisfying for the listener because you're like, what's going on there? And so I think if you're going to use a vocal like that, that's multiple phrases, then you need it to be audible. Okay. So, okay, you've made it more audible. Loop a short part of it to introduce it, bring it up, then let it all play when you can hear it. Take out the, it's not Aretha Franklin, it's, anyway, take out the overused house sample. It sounds kind of cool, but it takes away from the other vocal that you've got. Having this other vocal is going to be a bit more classy, and then having something, it can be, you can use it to your effect to have something that's like very recognizable, but in this case it kind of like cheapens the track, I feel. Okay, so the drop there was a bit underwhelming for the amount of tension and build-up that you've got. Also, you've got the vocal playing in this build-up section when there's a lot of other competing elements for it. So I think you'd be better off to have the vocal play here, like have its kind of moment where it's like really front and center, and then if you're going to have all this other stuff getting more chaotic, take the vocal away. Then when you bring it back here, it's also going to sound much more satisfying for the listener. So you can just see that looped, you can use that for those bits where I was talking about creating tension with the vocal, something like that. I think you could do with, like, it doesn't have to be anything crazy, but one or two just percussion things on the 16ths to just make this beat a little bit more interesting. Yeah, those little kind of white noise drum machine snares, have them in from the start. I think your clap snare is a bit too loud. Almost sounds like a rim shot actually. I just bring it down. It's just a bit aggressive for the track, I think. Just try to bring it down like 3 dB or something like that. I think it will sound a bit, like it'll just kind of slot in a bit. It also sounds a bit dry, so like it would be nice, because it's very short sound, it would be nice having it with like a little bit of reverb that was kind of audible, maybe with some pre-delay. So it's kind of like went like, I think it would just, yeah, if it's having some that pre-delay and the reverb timed to the tempo of the track. And there's a really good website called sorry, my brain's not working. I've mentioned it in videos before. What's it called? Nick Fever. I'll post it in the chat here. Nick Fever delay calculator. So you can use that to time all your reverbs, delays, pre-delays on your reverb and stuff to the tempo of your track.
Many people decide not to be They think we're crazy.
Very nice, like kick and bass groove. I really like that. I really like this little delicate, plucky synth that's coming in the background. Feels like it's getting a bit overshadowed by some of the more aggressive sounding elements, like your clap and this quite distorted synth that's... It might be nice in the break to like, so bring that melody up in volume and then break to a little section where it just has that playing on its own, and then you can build the other elements back in before you drop away without having it. Then you can bring it back in again. It's just going to kind of create energy and it's going to create interest and help the energy flow throughout the track. I think especially with an element like that that's quite delicate, it's always nice to give it its own moment to just exist in the track so that it really gives it the focus. In general, I would bring it up in volume a little bit, but really nice. And I think that for me, that was like the standout element in the track. It added a whole nother level of interest and refinement to the track. Kevin S. Motels. You've got this like percussion happening. Where is it? Like, so it's kind of it's cool, but maybe it's making the track feel a bit like marching, a bit robotic. Maybe you could try having it play like half as many times, half as frequently. It might add to the groove a bit more, or have one playing on the 8th note and then the next one playing on the 16th note or something like that, just to add a bit more groove. Yeah, I think definitely now you've got this kind of funky bass line in. Maybe, I don't know, I think for me that percussion's not working. It's not sitting with the groove of the track. So here, on this drop, I think it's starting to sound really cool, but that's still irking me a bit. Really nice bass, actually. Really nice sound here, this kind of like bassy lead. We need a little counter on the screen for every time I miss a drop. Yeah, dude, this is another absolutely solid track. I think if you can just like fix up that percussion at the start, or I mean it's going all the way through, but then you'll have another banger on your hands. I think Kevin was one of the people who signed something from the last stream, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, his music's been really leveling up. I think this vocal thing's a little bit too loud. I don't know what we call it. Vocal pad, vocal atmosphere. Like again, I'll just do this EQ thing where it's not that it's just the balance, right? So it's too loud in relation to the kick and bass and the hats and stuff. So what you could do with that vocal thing is automate it. So it rises up, comes down, rises up again. This it sounds like a, I'm not gonna, it sounds, I don't know, it sounds like some kind of plucked instrument. It's a cool sound. It might be worth trying to give it a bit more body, like doubling it or something down an octave and then mixing that in just to see if it helps it to sound a bit more beefy. So, right, what I think you want to do here in this type of build-up where you're like creating a lot of atmosphere, you've got like quite a bit of reverb, pads and all this kind of thing going on. When you come back, try and make it a bit more dry. Give it some contrast. It's going to like add intensity to that drop, and it's also going to mean that you've taken those elements away, so you can then bring back that atmosphere and stuff, and you can it's a tool that you can use again in the arrangement. Nice chord progression with these strings. I like this like twinkly, it's kind of like a trancey type thing that's come in, but I think it's a little bit lost, so you probably want to bring it up in volume a little bit, maybe give it its own moment here to do its thing before you maybe then bring back the bass or something that's happening here. So if you just kind of, or maybe you just cut out everything but have the bass and that twinkly sound, something like that, and then you can build everything back up. With the, like, I think there's too many things going in a succession here. That, then you've got the snare roll. Then you've got the clap, the crash fill. Clap fill. Vocal again. Little clap fill, and then it kind of, so by the time that vocal actually plays on the drop, it's not as satisfying as it could have been if it was all a bit more refined. I think the vocal is really cool, and you probably want to introduce it sooner. Yeah, I think the vocal is really working for the track, and you should make it more of a feature. And again, try bringing out some of the atmosphere so you can have some more kind of driving sections, and you can bring it back in. Good stuff, Dickie. The atmosphere in the background, maybe you take it out, but at the moment it's just a bit too loud. It's just kind of overwhelming the track a bit. So right here, I would like to see something come in that had a bit more presence to fill up this. If you look at the frequency spectrum here, there's like a bit of a gap between like 500 and 2K, 4K, sorry. You've got like a nice bass and stuff going on. That atmosphere's a bit distracting. When you're mixing an atmosphere like this in, it's worthwhile trying to like level it up and then bring the level back down till you're not really noticing it, because it's atmosphere, right? It's not like the main feature of the track. Nice, that worked really well. So I feel like this vocal is like, it's nice. It's got like drive to it, but I feel like the track needs a little bit more pace and intensity to match the vocal. That could just be my taste and what I'm wanting from it, but I think it's just a matter of like, yeah, taking away some of the atmosphere, some of the elements that are making it feel like a bit deep and a bit lacking energy. Let the driving elements kind of run the show when in the drops, and then in the break have it feeling a bit more deep and atmospheric. Yeah, but I think you've got like the basis of like a really cool track there. I really like that vocal and the way that you've used it. Really nice, smooth sounding drops, like build ups and then drops. With the beat and the rhythm of this melody, it's sounding very like robotic and kind of oompa loompa. So I think you need to get a bit of groove in there somehow. So here, where you've got this kind of like big reverb sweep and effects and stuff, you want to take out the kick so that this bit has more impact. Like. Add that one to the missed drop counter. So the vocal and these stabs are just absolutely fighting for space. They're just playing over the top of each other. The stabs are winning at this stage. So the vocal, you could have it like play in the break or something, have like a section where you bring the energy down, give it some space, let it play. Here it's got space. You've brought in this other kind of like brassy sounding lead, which I don't think you needed to do. That'd be pretty funny, Ollie. So again, this riff is like very straight sounding. I think just trying to get some groove into the track with some swing and some 16th note rhythm on the melody and on the percussion. Get this kick coming out sometime, like. So what my main recommendation here is to go and reference some tracks that you really like and see how they're doing the arrangement, where they're bringing in and out kicks. Like if you just go to the first track, for example, you can clearly see just by looking at the waveform, you don't even need to listen to it, that he takes out the kick here, takes out the kick here, takes out the kick here, maybe has no kick at the start, I'm not sure. But you can just do that and go, okay, I'm going to just copy that and see how that sounds in my track. Just to get an idea of like what you can do in arrangements. Then you can kind of you can reference other people's tracks in more detail there and go like, okay, what are they doing at the end of the break to create tension and release? Just mirror that in your track and you'll definitely learn a lot from that. All right, pick up the pace again. Sick sound. If you can hear that, I just added some reverb there because it sounded like something that was missing a bit to just help that transition. Really, really nice. These sounds are working so well together. Thanks, Nathaniel. True. The clap would definitely add some some vibe and energy to the track, but shit happens, eh? Still, really, really good. I'll try and imagine a clap. I think at some point here you could bring in like a ride. It doesn't have to be like a really in-your-face techno sounding ride, but I think just something kind of light and airy to help add some drive and energy to the track would really, really pick things up. Absolute vibe, man. I love it. I think in this section here, it could be cool to have something that could it kind of like you build it down. So, you know, just like having some kind of melody in there that maybe it's part of the other melody, maybe it's something different, something with a bit with a bit of like mid bass or something like that. Maybe it's percussion, I don't know, just some kind of like some fills or a little counter melody or something like that to just, I think that would just really help to like build the energy in this place, in this section. You don't even need to use it again, or you could try using one of the existing melodies. You could use part of one of the existing melodies, but then double it with a different sound, something like that. I don't know, but really solid. And with a clap, wow, good stuff. Really nice sound, really like that. I feel like the delay and reverb on this like melody that you've brought in here, it's maybe a bit distracting, but I really like the track so far. I just feel like maybe even just bringing down the oh my god, what a fucking idiot. I just basically started giving, yeah, okay. Sorry about that. It's still a bit sick, so. I think that noise sweep is a bit too, for the track's quite delicate, and I think that noise sweep's just a bit too over the top.
With a fire in my
think so with some of the effects and some of the build-ups and stuff, I think it's like the intensity's a bit high for the track in general. I really like the vocal and I really like the vibe of the track, but I think it just feels a little bit unbalanced between the effects and stuff. And then it feels like it's just kind of dropped here. You've got the ride and the full vocal and stuff. So, yeah. So like this is kind of like, I would say, the outro of the track, right? And then so this is like the main body of the track compared to the outro. You know, that I think you want to switch those around basically. So I think I really like the vocal. I think it's kind of nice and catchy and fits well. I would just try to refine it a little bit more, the whole thing, and look at the way that the energy flows through the track. So this part here could use a bit more energy, and this part could use a little bit less, I think. Like that straight away. Really solid stuff, Ollie. This is great, man. It sounds very refined. Ollie's another dude that's very active in the Discord and always like posting tracks and giving people good feedback. So if you want to make tracks like Ollie, get in the Discord. I think what's working really well here is like the melodies and stuff are quite floaty and washy, but then the drums are quite tight and punchy, so it gives a good contrast and allows the track to still have like solid drive. Dude, really solid stuff. Really, really good. Okay, straight off the bat, I think that's just a bit too full on to start with. How about some foreplay, Francisco? But in all seriousness, if you start with your like lead so open and stuff, then you haven't got anywhere to go except like to make it really aggressive. You can use like your filter and volume automations to keep that that riff more restrained so that you can open it up later. Really, really cool groove and drive to this. This little bit here, this little kind of riff change up before the drop, I think I get what you're trying to do, but I think it's not quite hitting. It feels a little bit awkward. You might be better off to just double the riff with a more in your face sound, or like open up the filter or something like that. But really in general, other than that, like really, really good. It just kind of took me out of the zone a little bit. Nice solid break. Not super exciting, but I do really appreciate that. Like I find in a lot of progressive house tracks, and I know it's the second time I've mentioned this on the stream, but I like the way that you've kept it to 1 minute. Like I find like a lot of progressive house tracks, especially this kind of deeper style of progressive house, they're doing no more than you did in your break, but making it 2 or 3 times as long. So this would be much more playable for me. Yeah, super solid. All right, we're getting down to the end. Everything sounding quite mono, maybe like panning some. You don't have a great deal of like hats and percussion and stuff, but panning them out a bit could really help to fill out the space in the panorama.
Boys and girls, this was a funk decision. I even had funky premonitions of me floating around the room, passing flowers to all the boys and girls.
I know it's a filtered down vocal or something, but it feels like it needs to be EQ'd a little bit, like just boosting the vocal around kind of 1 to 2K, and then maybe using like a low shelf or something to just pull out a little bit of the body like that. Could just help the vocal to feel a bit more eerie and sit in the track a bit nicer.
Was it that time to trip, or was I just high with the sound of the speaker that was coming out the wall? Or was it just another dream? Am I even here at all? I see faces in the crowd, and it seems like they...
So you can hear that on the vocal. It's obviously affecting the other elements as well, but the vocal just kind of feels a bit more in front.
Or was it just another dream? Am I even here at all? I see faces in the crowd, and it seems like they're looking for my soul. But I scream to the top of my lungs, but no one seems to hear me. Maybe the music was just too loud, or maybe they just fear me.
Yeah, nice, really solid track. I would, yeah, just sort out the panorama with the drums, EQ that vocal a bit. Love it. Let's go Walk Up to Me. Right, so I think there's a problem with the balance here. The kick's a bit too low. There's not really much else happening other than this distorted kind of bass sound. And then when the clap comes in, it's quite a bit too loud. So it's just like really smacking you in the face. I would try and find a kick that's maybe a little bit higher, maybe, yeah, just a little bit higher. Bring that clap right down, maybe EQ out a little bit of the tops from the clap. Yeah, again, this like stab sound, it's just a bit harsh. It's like really in your face. Oh, you'll notice here I've put quite a bit of limiting on this. I'm bringing it up to around -9 LUFS. So it looks like this is like a pre-master or something like that. So you may not be it may not be sounding like this to you, but this is what's going to happen when someone masters it. So it's always worthwhile checking your tracks with a limiter on, so you can at least simulate very basic mastering. Really cool vocal. So I think in general, the mix and maybe some of the elements like the kick could be changed out, but the vibe is really, really cool. Maybe a little bit of detail in the drums could be cool to hear as well. Liking this straight off the bat. Did I recently do a video about progressive house or something? Because I've never had this many progressive house tracks. So this is all sounding really, really nice, but it's missing anything for me to connect to. Like, it sounds like there's a little melody coming in underneath, but probably by 2 minutes I would want that to be a bit more into the track. Yeah, there's nothing in this kind of like mid-range for me to connect to, for it to have like personality. Yeah, so it needs a hook, basically, is my opinion. The what's there sounds really, really cool, but it just is lacking anything for me to connect to. All right, Flow. I'm probably not saying that right, bro. Sorry. You've been producing for 45 days. So long? So please let it rip. You just want to grow and learn. All right. Let's see.
Ladies and gentlemen, the captain has turned off the fasten seatbelt sign. You are now free to move about the cabin.
So first, this was the one I was commenting on before when I had the wrong one selected. You want to EQ out some of the lows on the different elements that you've got going on. Is it coming in from the start? So you don't need to like cut things like this, but just gently EQing like your kick, your bass, all that kind of stuff, just rolling off somewhere from like 20 to 40 hertz to take out a bunch of this sub energy that's not necessary.
Ladies and gentlemen, the captain has turned off the fasten seatbelt sign. You are now free to move about the cabin.
Can you imagine floating weightless, like a satellite?
So you've got this like boom, boom, boom kind of synth coming in. I think it's a bit maybe unnecessary. It would be maybe nicer with like a pad or string that was like opening up, something not too high, something with a bit of mid-range, opening up, then the vocal plays, then you can have this lead play.
I dream about things way beyond this atmosphere.
You are now free to move about the cabin.
So I guess this is like supposed to be an Afterlife style melodic techno kind of track. So what I would suggest there, because that drop has some good impact.
Ladies and gentlemen,
So there, you want to bring in like a ride or something. Pick up the pace. So that pad that you've got, that opening up, is kind of like this type of sound that I was talking about for back here. So you've kind of got to a point where you're increasing the energy, and then now you're bringing the energy away again. So reference some tracks that you want to make, and you could even just use like a MIDI clip just a blank MIDI track. Is it going to make me one? Yeah. Right. And then just go, okay. Right, let's just use yellow here and just give yourself some different shades of yellow. Right, and then kind of like use those to map out the energy of the track, of the reference track. So I'm kind of roughly doing it with your track here, how I think it should work, you know, there. So you can just do something simple like that. So you've got like a visual reference that you can then apply to your track.
Will I eventually evaporate into a black hole? Or would I just stick up there?
So with a bit of delay on that, it could be quite cool.
Or would I just stick up there?
Probably having something on the drop, because this is like the main break, right? So having some kind of big Hoover siren sound or something, big lead sound on there. And again, you're creating this build up that's going nowhere because that's the end of the track, right? So you can figure out stuff about the arrangement like that by referencing another track. All right, done. Thanks everyone who sent in tracks. Sorry I sound like I don't know, had my nose amputated or something. I've got a potato stuffed up my nose. Sickness is real. But anyway, onwards and upwards. Sorry I was a bit like spaced out on some of those tracks and made a few silly mistakes, whatever. These things happen. Thanks everyone for sending that stuff in. Some really, really solid tracks there again. I feel like I'm saying it every month now, but like stuff's just leveling up. And it's really cool to see like it's generally the same names that are like sending stuff in every month that are leveling up, getting better and better. Also a lot of the same names that are like active in Discord and that kind of thing that are leveling up, getting better. So Dickie, I'd like to see you in the Discord. You don't seem to post or be active in there. Get in there, buddy. But yeah, good stuff, guys. Some really, really top tunes in there. I'll post this up on YouTube. It'll probably be tomorrow, I think, before it goes live. It needs to like render out, and then I'll just like edit the intro and outro a little bit, I think, and then we should be good to go. All right, thanks everyone. Enjoy your Sunday. Is it the first Sunday of the month? It's like around the end or the beginning of the month, depends on when. But it's generally once a month, around the beginning or the end of the month when we do the streams.